What would life look like if you stepped back into 1939 for just one day? Imagine the sights, the sounds, and the atmosphere of a world on the brink of monumental change. Imagine a world on the brink of monumental change. The year 1939 stands as a pivotal moment in history, where the remnants of the Great Depression lingered and the shadow of an impending world war loomed large. The year 1939 stands as a pivotal moment in history, where the remnants of the Great Depression lingered and the shadow of an impending world war loomed large. It was a time of great uncertainty and rapid transformation, with the world holding its breath, waiting for what would come next. Join us as we journey back to this era, exploring the culture, technology, fashion, and global atmosphere that defined this pivotal year. From the innovations that were just beginning to take shape to the cultural shifts that were starting to emerge, 1939 was a year of contrasts and contradictions. Imagine strolling down a street in 1939. The air is filled with a mixture of hope and uncertainty. People go about their daily lives, yet there's an underlying tension that is palpable. The air is filled with a mixture of hope and uncertainty. The streets are bustling with activity, but there's a sense of unease that can't be ignored. People are trying to hold on to normalcy, even as the world around them is changing rapidly. Newsboys shout headlines about political turmoil in Europe. The newspapers are filled with stories of conflict and change, and people eagerly read them, trying to make sense of the world. People are dressed in the fashion of the time, men in fedoras and suits, women in elegant dresses and hats. The styles reflect a society that is both sophisticated and on edge, trying to maintain a semblance of elegance amidst the chaos. The world is on the cusp of a new decade, but a sense of foreboding hangs heavy in the air. The future is uncertain, and people are acutely aware of the potential for upheaval. The radio, a centerpiece in many homes, crackles with news bulletins and swing music. It's a source of both entertainment and information, bringing the world into living rooms across the globe. Families gather around, eager for updates on the escalating tensions in Europe. The radio broadcasts are a lifeline, providing a connection to the broader world and a sense of community in uncertain times. The threat of war casts a long shadow, but life goes on, a mixture of everyday routines and growing apprehension. People continue to work, socialize and live their lives, even as they brace for the impact of the coming storm. This was 1939, a year of contrasts, a year of change, a year that would shape the future in ways no one could have imagined. The year 1939 marked a turning point in history, a year where the world stood at a crossroads. It was a time of great uncertainty and tension, as nations grappled with the aftermath of economic turmoil and the looming threat of war. The Great Depression, which had gripped the globe for a decade, was beginning to ease, but its scars remained etched in the lives of millions. Families had been torn apart, savings wiped out, and dreams shattered. The echoes of hardship were still felt in every corner of society. Unemployment was still high, and economic hardship was a daily reality for many. People stood in long lines, hoping for a chance at work, while others relied on soup kitchens and charity to survive. The struggle for survival was a constant battle. However, a new threat was emerging, one that would soon plunge the world into darkness. The ominous clouds of war were gathering, and the air was thick with tension. People huddled around radios, listening to the latest news with a sense of dread. In Europe, Adolf Hitler's Nazi regime was growing increasingly aggressive, expanding its territory and igniting the flames of anti-Semitism. His fiery speeches and grandiose rallies stirred a dangerous fervor among his followers while instilling fear in those who opposed him. The world watched with bated breath as Hitler's ambitions threatened to unravel the fragile peace that had followed World War I. Leaders from around the globe convened in urgent discussions, their faces etched with concern and uncertainty. The League of Nations, formed in the aftermath of the Great War to prevent future conflicts, proved powerless to stop Hitler's advances. Despite their best efforts, the League's influence waned, and their resolutions fell on deaf ears. The policy of appeasement, adopted by Britain and France in a desperate attempt to avoid another devastating war, only emboldened the Nazi dictator. The Munich Agreement of 1938, intended to secure peace, instead became a symbol of failed diplomacy. The world was on the brink of a global conflict, and the year 1939 would be the year that the world changed forever. As nations mobilized their forces and prepared for the inevitable, the stage was set for a war that would reshape the course of history. The events of this pivotal year would leave an indelible mark on the world, a reminder of the fragility of peace and the devastating consequences of unchecked aggression. Despite the looming threat of war, daily life in 1939 continued, a blend of ordinary routines and growing anxieties. In bustling cities and quiet rural towns, people went about their lives, working, raising families, and seeking moments of joy amidst the uncertainty. Families gathered around their radios, the primary source of news and entertainment. The soothing voices of announcers and the lively tunes of big band music provided a welcome escape from the growing tensions of the world. Movie theatres offered another popular diversion, with audiences flocking to see classics such as Gone with the Wind and The Wizard of Oz. Their vibrant colours and captivating stories offering a temporary respite from the anxieties of the day. For many, life in 1939 was a time of hardship. The Great Depression had left its mark, and economic struggles were a daily reality for a significant portion of the population. Yet amidst the challenges, there was also a sense of resilience, a determination to persevere and find hope in the face of adversity. Step inside a typical home in 1939 and you'll find a world both familiar and strikingly different from our own. The essence of daily life was captured in the details, from the furniture to the layout of the rooms. The decor reflects the trends of the era, with Art Deco influences and a growing embrace of modernism. Bold geometric patterns, rich colours and luxurious materials were hallmarks of this style, creating a sense of elegance and sophistication. Homes were generally smaller than today's standards, but they were often filled with a warm and inviting atmosphere. The living room was the heart of the home, where families would gather to spend quality time together, sharing stories and creating memories. Radios were a ubiquitous presence, their elegant wooden cabinets gracing living rooms and kitchens alike. These devices were not just for entertainment, they were a symbol of modernity and progress, bringing the world into the home. Families gathered around these technological marvels to listen to news broadcasts, radio dramas, and musical performances. The radio was a communal experience, fostering a sense of togetherness and shared enjoyment. The radio served as a vital link to the outside world, providing information, entertainment, and a sense of connection during a time of uncertainty. It was a lifeline during the tumultuous pre-war years, offering both solace and distraction. Refrigerators, while becoming increasingly common, were still a luxury in many households. These appliances represented the cutting edge of convenience, promising to make daily chores easier and more efficient. Iceboxes delivered daily by the Iceman were a common sight, keeping perishable goods cool in an era before widespread refrigeration. The Iceman's visit was a regular part of the household routine, a reminder of the blend of old and new technologies. Life in 1939 may have been simpler in some ways, but it was also a time of innovation and change, as new technologies gradually transformed the way people lived. From household gadgets to communication devices, the seeds of modern convenience were being sown, setting the stage for the rapid advancements of the coming decades.